a picturesque Austrian resort in the height of the ski season. 4,000 tourists enjoy the beautiful alpine scenery. Suddenly, a massive avalanche shatters the peace. Within 3 minutes, a 328-foot wall of snow devastates the village of Galtur. It smashes buildings and buries dozens of people. 31 die, all in a village that avalanche experts officially designate as safe. Now, advanced computer simulation reveals exactly what went wrong in Galtur. Disasters don't just happen. They're a chain of critical events. Unravel the fateful moments in those final seconds from disaster. Europe, Austria, Galtur, February 1999. The traditional ski resort of Galtur is a popular winter playground high in the Alps. Steep alpine cliffs surround the village on 3 sides. It lies directly below the Grieskopf mountain, which towers over Galtur at a height of 9,035 feet. But this tranquil beauty comes at a price. In winter, heavy snowfall and high winds batter the village. Galtur lies in the heart of avalanche country. Nevertheless, the steep slopes are a magnet for winter sports enthusiasts. In peak season, Galtur attracts up to 4,000 visitors a week from across Europe, promoting itself as the resort with doorstop skiing. That's why Christa and Helmut Kapellner come here from Düsseldorf, Germany every year.
Galtur is very small, and the ski slopes are right by the village. You hardly need to cover any distance at all to get to the slopes. You can ski right up to your front door.
The easy access to the ski slopes makes Galtur the perfect family resort. 33-year-old British firefighter Jason Tate, his wife and 2 children are staying in a chalet on the eastern edge of Galtur. His brother Jonathan and his family are with them. They've now been in Galtur for 10 days on what is meant to be the dream vacation.
The holiday was a kind of trip for a lifetime, as it were. We'd saved up all the previous year. And it was our first time away skiing with the kids. That's what was important to us.
But their trip of a lifetime is far from ideal. Apart from an unseasonably warm period between January 29th and February 4th, the weather is terrible. By February 17th, the area has endured over 2 weeks of almost continuous snowfall.
And then huge masses of snow started to fall. I've never seen anything like it in my life.
High-altitude weather stations record over 12 feet of snow for the period, 6 times greater than the February average. The snow is not just falling heavily on the village. High above Galtur, snow continues to build up on the Grieskopf mountain at an alarming rate of 6 inches a day.
Cold air is moving towards the Alps, which means continuous snowfall.
Above that, snow and more snow.
The white snowstorm outside doesn't want to stop.
The authorities issue a series of extreme weather warnings, and they shut down the ski slopes. Then, on February 18th, the threat of avalanches forces the authorities to close the only road leading into Galtur. Almost 4,000 people are cut off from the outside world. By February 23rd, Jason Tate and his family are still trapped in Galtur. They should have gone home 3 days ago. Jason is getting desperate.
Every morning we'd go out and clear the cars off and clear the drive because of the continuous snow, just in case we'd get a window of opportunity to get out. Of course, you can imagine the children were getting very bored. It was a case of trying to entertain them the best we could.
The weather continues to deteriorate, and now it's more than just heavy snowfall. Huge winds batter the Cut-Off Valley with recorded speeds in excess of 70 miles an hour. At 7 a.m. on February 23rd, Galtür's mayor calls an urgent meeting of his avalanche emergency team. They believe the risk of an avalanche is now high. Galtür has 3 color-coded avalanche hazard zones. In the high-risk red zone surrounding the village's outskirts, no building is allowed. In the potentially dangerous yellow zone, all houses and hotels are reinforced. The green zone, the heart of the village, is considered safe, a place beyond the reach of any avalanche. The heavy snow continues throughout the day. As more and more snow piles up on the mountains overlooking the village, small avalanches start to appear on the lower slopes. With little to do, Christa and her husband Helmut venture out to the Café Günther. They stay within the safe green zone, but Christa feels anxious.
I did not feel safe at all, and I was afraid to leave the house. You constantly look up to the mountains on your left and right and think, oh my God, I do hope it's safe. So I was really anxious, thinking, I hope we get out of this alive.
On the edge of the village, Jason Tate is increasingly concerned.
With young children and an expectant wife, of course, you do feel quite responsible to look after their welfare and make sure that they were getting what they wanted, because we could see these smaller avalanches coming down.
Galtür is now experiencing its heaviest snowfall since records began 100 years ago. An astonishing 12 inches falls on this one day alone. The freak weather surprises even the locals. Maria Wolf is housekeeper to the village priest. She hasn't seen a winter this bad in her entire life. 3:50 p.m. Christa and Helmut leave the Café Günther and head back to their hotel. It's a 20-minute walk in the thick snow. Jason Tate and his family are in their chalet on the outskirts of Galtür. Maria Wolf is in the laundry room of the priest's house next to the church. She's nearly finished her work, but something feels wrong.
I was just about to go into the chapel to say a rosary, because somehow it seemed as if something was about to happen. I had a feeling that there was something in the air.
Maria is right to feel uneasy. High on the Grieskopf mountain, the snowpack creaks under its enormous weight. It breaks away. A massive avalanche is headed straight for the village. The lives of people in Galtür are about to change forever. Seconds from disaster will continue in a moment.
What can a car that gets 50 miles per gallon do for the environment? Not nearly as much as the car that's carrying it. Our trains can move a ton of freight 423 miles on 1 gallon of fuel. CSX, how tomorrow moves.
If anybody had told me that I would end up teaching in a high school diploma program for ex-offenders, I would have laughed out loud.
Judith DeVries co-founded an adult high school for ex-offenders. She's earning her PhD online from Walden University.
If somebody told me today I could never do this again, I would cry.
When you earn your master's or PhD online at Walden University, you gain the knowledge and credentials you need to make a positive change in your career and in the lives of others. Visit our website or call this toll-free number to consult with a Walden advisor. Walden faculty are practicing leaders in their fields. Our dynamic online courses fit your life and offer a rich, interactive learning experience. We also offer financial aid options. Call or go online now, and we'll waive your application fee.
Walden University provides an opportunity for people to receive outstanding educational credentials while living out your dream about changing the world.
Walden University. A higher degree, a higher purpose.
You're okay. Our take-alongs are good to go.
New Take-Alongs cookies from Keebler in Chips Deluxe and Sandy's.
The road is not filled with drivers. It's filled with people. So let's treat people more like they're in our home and less like they're in our way. Allstate believes safe drivers should get an extra reward. Introducing the Safe Driving Bonus Check. It's time to make the world a better place to drive. That's Allstate stand. Are you in good hands?
Oh, no! I just parked here a second ago! Give me a break, will you? No.
Dr. Scholl's massaging gel insoles with 2 different gels for softness and support are outrageously comfortable.
On second thought, I think I'll walk.
Are you gelling? Dr. Scholl's.
Tonight,
about a third of the building has been blown away.
They were convicted of committing one of the worst terrorist attacks on this country, the Oklahoma City bombing. But some claim Timothy McVeigh and Terry Nichols didn't act alone.
Tim McVeigh had no experience that would equip him to engineer such a successful bomb.
What critical piece of evidence did the FBI overlook?
Does it embarrass the FBI? You bet.
The final report, Oklahoma City bombing, tonight at 9 Eastern on National Geographic.
Now back to seconds from disaster. High above the Austrian ski resort of Gautur, a massive overhang of snow buckles under the strain of 3 weeks of almost continuous snowfall. 3:59 p.m., an avalanche breaks off and heads down the mountain. The village of Gautur lies directly in its path. Jason and Jonathan Tate are with their children in the chalet on the outskirts of the village.
All of a sudden, you sort of hear this rumbling, sort of low, very, very low, sort of, as if a train is going past in the distance.
Jonathan pushes the children under a table, terrified that the windows are about to blow in.
It happens so fast that all of a sudden the house just rocks. And then it's like being in a washing machine. The elements are just battering the house. And I was just concerned that the windows couldn't sustain that kind of battering.
A wave of snow over 300 feet high crashes through Gautur's outskirts. Here in the outer yellow zone, buildings are made to resist avalanches. The avalanche obliterates many of them in seconds. At 4:50, housekeeper Maria Wolf is about to leave the priest's house when the avalanche surges towards the center of the village.
A flurry of snow, and then I can't remember anything.
3 seconds later, the avalanche thunders down the street as Krista and Helmut Kapellner return to their hotel. Krista feels a huge force hit her in the back. The tremendous power of the avalanche somersaults her 55 yards down the street.
Dann ganz instinktiv
Instinctively, I covered my face with both hands and pitched forward.
4:02 p.m. The avalanche finally stops 109 yards inside the green zone, the safe zone that is the center of Galtür. The deadly wall of snow has devastated this once tranquil village. It has thrown and crushed cars. Snow buries entire streets and destroys houses. No one knows how many people are trapped. Shocked villagers immediately get to work to try to locate survivors. The rescuers have no idea where people are buried. They work in lines, probing the snow with metal rods to help locate hidden bodies. Jason and Jonathan Tate's chalet is at the very edge of the avalanche path. It escapes undamaged. The brothers set out to see if they can help with the rescue effort.
And we kept passing people coming away from where it had been, holding their heads and shaking their heads and whatever. It was quite concerning. We thought, well, you know, what are we walking into here? What faced us was absolutely shocking. Basically, there was just a huge amount of snow where half of the village had previously been.
The whole hotel was at 45 degrees, literally uprooted and turned over. You know, to see a whole building turned over like that is something to behold, the power of nature.
Snow even fills the buildings left standing, burying people inside. Maria Wolf is one of them, trapped under snow in the laundry room. Only the sink saves her from being totally buried. But she's unconscious. She needs help fast. 400 yards away, the full force of the avalanche has blasted German tourist Christa off her feet and along the street. As the avalanche subsides, Christa finds herself trapped in an icy tomb. She was standing next to Helmut when the avalanche struck and is sure he will rescue her. As an experienced skier, Christa knows that her survival depends on being found quickly. A pocket of air is keeping her alive, but for how long?
There was a smell of mold, as if one had been buried alive. That's what it felt like.
Maria is luckier. A rescue team finds her in the priest's basement. Walter Kirk, a local doctor, rushes to the scene.
All I knew was that a male voice said, "Stay calm, Maria." And the doctor asked me, "Can you move your feet?" And I said, "Yes, both of them."
Dr. Kirk begins emergency treatment. Maria has fractured ribs and back injuries, but seems numb to the pain.
She did not scream. She did not cry. She was in a state of shock, just like the rest of us.
Darkness falls. The temperature plummets to 15 degrees. And the greater threat is now asphyxiation. For people buried under the snow, the difference between life and death is only a matter of minutes. Seconds from disaster. Will return in a moment.
Meet Marshall Brain, expert explainer.
And I'm really curious about everything. This Thursday, we're going to break apart golf balls. Titleists will show us their secret recipes, baking them at over 300 degrees, and boats flying at up to 55 miles per hour. Who knew they could get so much speed from fiberglass shot out of a gun?
Who knew? With Marshall Brain, part of Engineering Thursdays, premieres this Thursday at 9 Eastern on Nat Geo. Join Nat Geo in making a positive impact on the environment. Turn out your lights for 1 hour, March 29th at 8 p.m. Find out more at earthhour.org.
You've always wanted to know who's on Match.com, and we want you to know it's okay to look. We guarantee if you don't find someone special within 6 months, we'll give you 6 months free. And it's only at Match.com.
Advanced electrocardiogram technology from GE. Small enough to fit in a backpack.
Very good.
Powerful enough to bring modern healthcare to places like rural India.
They're okay. Our take-alongs are good to go.
New Take-Alongs cookies from Keebler in Chips Deluxe and Sandy's.
Me? Well, I help save people money on car insurance and I support wildlife conservation. I'm actually working with the Association of Zoos and Aquariums right now. I'm going to be making the rounds of a whole bunch of aquariums. And you? I mean, I'll be honest, it is very hard to talk with you. I mean, where exactly is your face? Is that it? No, that's your belly button, isn't it?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Justin Guarini. Kimberly Caldwell.
We've been there.
We know what it's like. 2 former finalists on the only show before the show.
Need more Idol?
Get more Idol.
Join TV Guide Network right outside the backstage door. Before you watch Idol, watch Idol tonight. We've got the stories. We've got the idols.
Plus, we got fans.
Idol tonight, Wednesday, 8, 7 Central on TV Guide Network on Channel 117.
Four paws and one big shaggy heart. Doesn't he deserve to be covered too? Introducing pet injury coverage from Progressive. Now when Progressive covers your car, we cover your pet at no extra charge. Now that's Progressive. Go to progressive.com or call a local independent agent.
Tomorrow, Explorer goes north to Alaska, where secrets are soaked in oil.
This is a highly competitive industry. We're not saying what we found.
Some say America's last frontier is sitting on an ocean of black gold.
We know that that area is very prolific.
And could be our last chance at energy independence.
There's not a lot of easy oil left to be found.
But how much is really out there? Explorer, Alaska's Last Oil, premieres tomorrow at 8 on Nat Geo.
Now back to seconds from disaster. The village of Galtur is shattered by a massive avalanche. Night falls and rescue teams desperately race against time to pull people out before they asphyxiate under the snow. If the rescuers don't find victims within 40 minutes, it is usually too late. The village mayor is desperate for help. Frantic calls go out to the emergency services in Laundek, the nearest town 25 miles away. But the calls are in vain. Helicopters are ready and waiting, but the snowstorm has cut off the entire valley. The weather grounds the choppers. Galtur is on its own. As the clock ticks away, the victim's survival now relies on the rescue efforts of volunteers. 4:45 p.m., 46 minutes after the start of the avalanche, and for German skier Krista Kalpelner, time is running out.
At that point, I felt no fear at all. I was simply hoping and wishing and praying that I would be rescued.
Krista Kapelna knows that the oxygen in her air pocket is getting dangerously low. She realizes she must try to dig herself out. It's an impossible task. She's unaware that a rescue team is close by with a search dog. Heiko is trained in avalanche rescue. His job is to sniff out people buried beneath the snow. Krista begins to lose consciousness as the last of her oxygen is exhausted. Suddenly, Heiko picks up a scent around the bumper of a car buried in the snow. The team starts to dig frantically, hoping they might find a survivor. It's incredibly difficult. The snow is solidly compacted.
It wasn't the soft kind of snow that you'd expect to go out and play in. It was like concrete. It had set, and it was quite difficult to try and dig through.
The team digs deeper under the upended car. Heiko becomes more and more agitated. 7 p.m. Krista has been buried for 3 hours. The rescuers are 10 feet down when they spot clothing. It's Krista. Barely alive, she has severe hypothermia and needs urgent medical help. Finding Krista gives everyone new hope. The volunteers work through the night in freezing temperatures. But as the hours pass, there is little chance of finding any more buried survivors. The following morning, at dawn, the weather clears. Emergency helicopters from Landeck arrive to start airlifting out the injured. With so much devastation, the authorities decide to evacuate the village. Survivor Krista Kapelna is one of the first to be evacuated. As she recovers in the hospital, her thoughts turn to her missing husband, Helmut.
After a while, it dawned on me what must have happened. I had worked it out for myself by then. If he had not been found yet, he simply could not have survived that cold.
When the rescue team finds Helmut's body, he's just 55 yards from the spot where they rescued Krista. Helmut is one of 31 victims who die in Galtur. Many more are injured. The disaster attracts international attention.
With 60 people killed in a series of avalanches, the latest struck Tuesday in the small town of Galtur.
News crews descend upon the stricken Alpine village. Avalanche expert Art Mears from Colorado flies in by helicopter. With over 25 years' experience, Mears understands all too well the devastation an avalanche can wreak. The destruction in Galtur horrifies even him.
You could still see pieces of people's lives embedded in the debris. Dolls, somebody's hairbrush. This was still visible, slowly melting out of the debris. And of course, there was extensive devastation to the buildings. There were a lot of obvious signs that something large and with a great deal of force and energy had come off the mountainside.
What puzzles Mears and other experts is that the avalanche penetrates the heart of the village, the one part of Galtur everyone thinks is avalanche safe. Yet it's here where the avalanche claims most of its victims. It's clear the computer model dividing Galtur into 3 hazard zones failed. And this same model is used throughout the Alps, leaving thousands of mountain communities and tourists potentially at risk. How could the sophisticated computer model prove so disastrously wrong? Seconds from disaster. We'll be right back.
They're okay. Our take-alongs are good to go.
New Take-Alongs cookies from Keebler in Chips Deluxe and Sandy's.
Okay, you know what ages our skin? Free radicals from sun, stress, and pollution. So what's a girl to do?
Fight back with Neutrogena Antioxidant Age Reverse. Chock full of antioxidants, it helps neutralize free radicals and reverses the signs of aging for younger-looking skin.
Why look older if you don't have to?
Neutrogena Antioxidant Age Reverse. No wonder Neutrogena is recommended most by dermatologists.
Attention drivers statewide. If you are insured with Allstate, Geico, State Farm, or any other car insurer, you may be overpaying by hundreds of dollars. Find out how to get immediate savings through AIGdirect.com. What would it take to get you to switch your car insurance? If we told you that you could save $364 a year, wouldn't you pick up the phone? Start dialing, because you could save that much. People who switched from Geico saved around $370. From Allstate, $430. Your savings could be higher, like this driver who switched, or this one. And no other company gives you AIG Security Advantage that includes roadside assistance at no additional cost. Immediate savings available through AIGdirect.com. Call for a free rate quote today. Call 1-800-211-SAVE for a free rate quote. You could save hundreds of dollars. That number again is 1-800-211-SAVE. Call now or visit AIGdirect.com.
Are you like me? I have high blood pressure and I have high cholesterol. Sometimes problems come in twos, but sometimes help can come in one. Catawit. Catawit contains 2 proven medicines, Norvasc for high blood pressure and Lipitor for high cholesterol, combined in 1 pill, Catawit. Catawit is one of many treatment options I discussed with my doctor. Ask your doctor if Catawit's right for you. Along with diet and exercise, 1 pill doing 2 jobs for me. My doctor said Catawit's not for everyone. It's not for people with liver problems and women who are nursing, pregnant, or may become pregnant. To check for liver problems, you need simple blood tests. Tell your doctor about any heart problems and all other medications you are taking, or if you experience muscle pain or weakness, as they may be a sign of a rare but serious side effect. For blood pressure and cholesterol lowering benefits, it's Catawit. 1 pill, 2 medicines. Makes sense to you? Makes sense to me. Ask your doctor if Catawit's right for you.
Tonight,
about a third of the building has been blown away.
They were convicted of committing one of the worst terrorist attacks on this country, the Oklahoma City bombing. But some claim Timothy McVeigh and Terry Nichols didn't act alone.
Tim McVeigh had no experience that would equip him to engineer such a successful bomb.
What critical piece of evidence did the FBI overlook?
Does it embarrass the FBI? You bet.
The final report, Oklahoma City bombing, tonight at 9 Eastern on National Geographic.
Now back to seconds from disaster. February 1999. A massive avalanche slices through the ski resort of Galtur in the Austrian mountains. The center of the village is supposed to be avalanche safe. But within 3 minutes, 31 people are dead and many more injured. What went wrong? By rewinding the events of that fateful day and analyzing in detail the official investigation, we can now reveal what happened at Galtur. Advanced computer simulation will take us where no camera can go, into the heart of the Galtur avalanche. The day after the disaster, the Tyrolean prosecutor appoints Paul Fohn and Stefan Margret as chief investigators. Both men are from the Swiss Federal Institute for Snow and Avalanche. The scale of the destruction shocks Margret.
Galtur gave me the impression of a war zone. There are many helicopters flying around, completely destroyed houses, big heaps of snow where they're still looking for victims and hundreds of damaged cars. It was indeed a terrible sight.
The first step for the investigators is to assess why the avalanche is so destructive. It is clear that Galtur's avalanche hazard zones were dead wrong. Scientists calculated the hazard zones on a worst-case scenario based on studies of 150 years of avalanche activity in the valley. But this avalanche has swept through the high-risk red zone, continued through the medium-risk yellow zone, and penetrated the green zone, the very center of Galtur. The so-called safe zone now resembles a war zone. The investigators must find out what really turned the Galtur avalanche into a lethal monster that surpassed their worst fears. Fon is determined to find out just how big this avalanche actually was. He starts with the basics. He studies the weather data to check out the snowfall and see if there's anything out of the ordinary.
The usual weather in wintertime, especially in January, is a mix of snowfalls and then nice weather. That was the case this year. We didn't have anything unusual.
But when Fon checks weather reports for the end of January 1999, he spots something intriguing. On January 26th, low pressure over northern Italy creates 4 days of heavy precipitation in the Alps. At the same time, a high-pressure front of cold air sweeps down from the Arctic. The two weather systems collide, and as the cold front meets the warmer, wetter front, they create snow, huge amounts of snow. Similar weather conditions occur throughout much of February. Fon calculates that snowfall for the area is an incredible 12.5 feet, 6 times the seasonal average, enough to create a massive avalanche. To find out exactly how large the avalanche is, Fon and Margaret fly to the very spot where the massive snow broke away, the summit of the Grieskopf mountain, 3,838 feet above Galtur. Just 2 days after the avalanche, the snow is still extremely unstable. It's a dangerous mission. Fon measures the size of the fracture zone, the site where the avalanche broke away from the mountain. It's over twice the size he expects. Margaret is so amazed, he takes this photograph. At its widest, the breakpoint is a staggering 15 feet. On this basis, Fon calculates that the avalanche weighs an incredible 170,000 tons. An avalanche on this slope should weigh no more than 70,000 tons. Fon realizes that even the most continuous snowfall in the weeks leading up to the disaster can't explain the size of this avalanche. The question is, where has the extra snow come from? The investigators return to the weather records. They learned that between January 27th and February 23rd, strong northwesterly winds pounded the Galtur region. The power of the wind, combined with the orientation of Grieskopf mountain, causes an extra 6.5 feet of snow to collect above the village. But the amount of snow creates yet another puzzle for the investigators. A 170,000-ton snow ridge would not normally be able to support itself. it would break off long before it got this big. So why didn't it?
Usually avalanches release before they get 4.5 meters deep like they were at Galtour. 4.5 meters is 15 feet, and that's a lot of snow.
Every mountain peak has one or more snow caps which form when successive layers of snow fall on top of each other. Some layers are made of snow crystals that are weaker than others. When snow builds on a weak layer, that layer can give way, causing the snow on top to slide off and trigger an avalanche. Big avalanches are rare because the weak layer usually gives way before the layers on top become too thick.
If the layer had been very weak, you would have had smaller avalanches released at several different times instead of a single one building up.
So why didn't the weak layer give way sooner? When Paul Fon analyzes the weak layer, he hits upon something strange. The ice crystals are much more strongly bonded than in a typical weak layer. Fon knows such strongly bonded crystals can be formed when snow melts and then refreezes. But how could this have happened high in the Alps in the middle of winter? Fon rechecks the temperature records, and they confirm his hunch. Temperatures between January 29th and February 4th rose from 4 below zero to 39.2 degrees, warm enough for the snow to melt. But by February 5th, the temperature plummets to 30 degrees, and the snow above Galtour refreezes. It causes the formation of strongly bonded crystals, making this weak layer freakishly strong.
I think the most unusual aspect of the weak layer at Galtour was that it really wasn't that weak.
At 3:59 p.m. on the 23rd of February, 1999, the weak layer finally gives way, releasing 170,000 tons of snow with disastrous consequences. But does this new evidence explain why the avalanche caused most of the destruction in the supposedly safe center of Galtour? The investigation team feeds the new data into a computer simulation of the avalanche. The result is mystifying. The computer predicts that this avalanche would still stop before it reaches the green zone. Yet the destruction in Galtour Center is irrefutable evidence of a huge and devastating avalanche. Fon knows he must track down a killer no one ever expected, an avalanche with the power to strike at the very heart of Galtour. This time he goes through the eyewitness accounts looking for clues, and an even more complicated picture emerges. One witness recalls seeing the avalanche heading directly towards his house in distinct waves of snow. These waves are characteristic of what scientists call a powder avalanche. Powder avalanches can have a density up to 20 times that of air. They can travel at speeds of up to 259 miles per hour. But as well as the top layer of powder snow, the evidence points to a bottom layer of dense, heavy snow, proof that this was a complex avalanche. This presents a major problem for the scientists. Their hazard zone computer model can only accurately track the path of a classic alpine avalanche. They simply don't have the data to predict the behavior of the more complex avalanche that struck Galtur. The investigation grinds to a halt. Then their luck turns. They learn of a daring experiment that casts light on the behavior of multi-layered avalanches. Just 2 weeks before the Galtur disaster, a team of Austrian and Swiss scientists set out for Mount Kratebesse in Switzerland. They're going to set off an avalanche deliberately and record how it moves down the mountain. 2 Doppler avalanche radars transmit short pulses of microwave energy that will document the avalanche's progress second by second. It's a highly dangerous experiment. The avalanche will be heading straight for them. The team takes cover inside a reinforced concrete bunker 4,265 feet beneath the mountain peak. A helicopter drops explosive charges to trigger the avalanche. The scientists' own film reveals what happens next. An enormous slab of snow breaks away from the mountain and rampages out of control downhill. As the huge wall of snow heads towards them, they quickly shut the hatch, just in time. The avalanche engulfs the bunker. They've had a lucky escape. The experiment is far more dangerous than they dreamed. Their bunker is under several feet of snow, and they're trapped. They have to dig their way out. It's only when they emerge that they realize the full scale of the avalanche they have set off. The experiment is a frightening vision of what the victims of Galtur, with no concrete bunker to protect them, experienced. The avalanche is much larger than they ever expected. Now they need to find out why. They examined the data from the 2 Doppler radars, and with the new information, the scientists can see inside an avalanche in full descent. The bunker experiment reveals that as the avalanche cascades down the side of the mountain, it picks up fresh layers of snow that lie in its path. Scientists call this process entrainment.
A crude way to describe entrainment would be being out on a slope that's all wet and rolling a snowball down the slope, and the snowball gets bigger and bigger as it goes to the bottom of the hill. In other words, the snow that got to the bottom of the steep part of the avalanche path could be 2 or 3 or 4 times as large as the avalanche that began.
The Kratebesse experiment astounds the scientists. They now know an avalanche can pick up 400 tons of snow every second of its descent. Could this be a major breakthrough in finding out why the avalanche blasted through Galtur's green zone? The investigation team feed the new data into their computer. They hope that this time it will solve the central mystery of why the avalanche reached the heart of Galtur and killed so many people. With this new information and advanced computer simulation, we can now reveal exactly what happened in Galtur. Count down those final seconds from disaster when we return.
Sunday. This brown bear weighs 1,200 pounds and can run as fast as a racehorse. And this giant hornet can kill with 1 sting. That's just 2 of Asia's deadly dozen. Sunday at 8. Then at 9, this bird has a 7-foot wingspan and is able to lift its own weight. And this human-sized squid is hungry for pretty much anything it can catch. A night of deadly dozens continues with Central America's Deadly Dozen. Sunday at 9 on Nat Geo.
I was pretty nervous, apprehensive.
It was tough to tell them I was joining the Army at first. I did research on my own, tried to get an idea about what the Army was going to be like. It's given me a whole bunch of confidence.
But now I'm very proud of him.
He's just a stronger, more driven individual.
He can outrun me.
If your son or daughter wants to talk about joining the Army, listen, you made them strong. We'll make them Army strong. Find out more at goarmy.com.
You've always wanted to know who's on Match.com, and we want you to know it's okay to look. We guarantee if you don't find someone special within 6 months, we'll give you 6 months free. And it's only at Match.com.
Oh, this bad boy is sick. You like this, right? This is bigger than my apartment.
So what about insurance, man? How much?
Oh. What are you, 19? Man, get some grown man insurance.
It's time to step up. Your Choice Auto Insurance, only from Allstate. More protection, more rewards, starting day one. Whether you have an accident or not.
Stop! Go! See, that could raise your rates with...
You deserve more from your insurance. That's Allstate, Stan. Are you in good hands?
They're okay. Our take-alongs are good to go.
New Take-Alongs cookies from Keebler in Chips Deluxe and Sandy's.
Someone told me long ago there's a calm before this storm. I wanna know, have you ever seen me?
Just as nature reuses water, GE Water Technologies turn billions of gallons into clean water each year.
Coming down on a sunny day.
Are you ready to change your life, look younger, and be stronger?
I went from a size 38 to a size 30 and lost over 70 pounds.
You too can get remarkable results with Bowflex Home Gyms. All it takes is one simple workout, 20 minutes a day, 3 times a week.
When they say you can work out 20 minutes a day, 3 times a week, they mean exactly that. You've got to get this DVD. It'll change your life.
Call now for a free DVD that shows how you can get great results with Bowflex Home Gyms.
I gave all of my fat clothes to my fat friends.
Only Bowflex Home Gyms have Power Rod technology, the secret to getting a strong, sculpted body fast.
I am not embarrassed to take my shirt off. I look better. I feel better. My wife gives me that little wink every now and then.
Own your very own Bowflex Home Gym for no money down and payments as low as $14 a month. Be strong, be fit, be Bowflex. Call or go online now for your free DVD that tells you all about Bowflex Home Gyms. Call now.
Meet Marshall Brain, expert explainer.
And I'm really curious about everything. Thursday, we're going to break apart golf balls. Titleists will show us their secret recipe. Who knew boats could get so much speed from fiberglass shot out of a gun?
Who knew? With Marshall Brain, part of Engineering Thursdays, premieres this Thursday at 9 Eastern on Nat Geo.
January 26, 1999. Heavy snowfall hits the Galtur region for 4 days. From the 29th of January through February 4th, temperatures rise. Snow begins to melt, creating a weak layer on the snowcap above Galtur. February 5th, temperatures suddenly drop, and for the next 19 days, the Austrian Alps get unseasonably high snowfall. Winds in excess of 70 miles per hour help to build a huge snowpack on the mountain above Galtur. February 23rd, the weak layer beneath supports an unusually large burden of snow, but only for so long. 2 minutes to disaster. A giant snow slab estimated to weigh 170,000 tons, the equivalent to 428 fully laden jumbo jets, breaks away from the mountain. Galtur lies directly in its path. "60 seconds to disaster. the avalanche rushes down the mountain. Calculations now show it increases in size by an estimated 20,000 tons. It reaches a top speed of 259 miles per hour. At 4:01, disaster strikes Gautier. The enormous force penetrates the village's 3 zones, including the green safe zone. At 4:02, the avalanche finally runs out of power. Gautier is in ruins, and 56 people are buried under tons of snow and ice. Investigators now know why the monster avalanche decimated Gautier, but they still need to solve one final piece of the puzzle. Why did the worst destruction occur inside the green zone, the place everyone believed was the safest? 4 p.m. The avalanche, weighing 170,000 tons, strikes the outskirts of Gautier. The heavy, dense layer of snow hits buildings with an enormous force, equivalent to a 25-ton truck hitting a brick wall at 50 miles per hour. But the upper, lighter layer of powder snow is traveling at 259 miles per hour and penetrates 109 yards further into Gautier's safe zone. Although it carries less force than the bottom layer, it throws Krista and Helmut Kapellner 55 yards. This powder avalanche blasts through windows and doors, rapidly filling buildings with fine snow. It engulfs the priest's house, where Maria Wolf is working. At 4:01 p.m., powder snow envelops more houses in the safe green zone. Many are lightweight buildings that weren't made to withstand the power of an avalanche. As the enormous pressure builds up inside, whole chalets explode as if detonated by bombs. At 4:02 p.m., the powder snow packs one last killer punch. When it settles, it compacts and sets rock hard.
In situations that I've observed where powder clouds in small to moderate and sometimes large avalanches have been compressed against solid objects like trees, the material from the powder cloud has been compressed to a density so high and a strength so high that you could barely break the surface with a knife blade.
When the powder snow sets, rescue efforts become virtually impossible. Krista's survival is a miracle. An upturned car provided her with a pocket of air that lasts for 3 hours. Her husband Helmut, however, is not so lucky. Years later, Krista Kapellner is still under treatment for spinal injuries, but the trauma of her ordeal and the loss of her husband has left deeper scars.
But life goes on, and I need to look forward and be grateful for the time I spent with my husband.
The Gautier avalanche is over in less than 3 minutes. In that time, it causes the death of 31 people, injures many more, and rips the heart out of this peaceful mountain community. Scientists calculate that the freak combination of circumstances creating such a destructive avalanche is unlikely to be repeated in Gautier for at least 200 years. But the authorities responsible for all Austrian mountain communities are taking no chances. They build huge defenses to protect the village. An avalanche barrier 6 feet thick and a wall 393 yards long and 23 feet high now confronts the Alpine range. And high above the village on the mountain ridge, over 6 miles of fencing prevents the buildup of large slabs of snow. It should stop such enormous avalanches in the future. The hard lessons learned at Gautier create new levels of understanding in the field of avalanche prediction throughout the world. Today, 300 people on average are still killed by avalanches each year. But the tragedy at Gautier helps to ensure that people who live, work, and play in the mountains are now safer than ever before.